Are you ready? Yeah. Hi, Laurie. Nice to meet you. Hi. Oh, yes. Hi. How are you? I recognize you.
Oh, you're really getting into this 80s. All I think about is Jennifer Garner. Is that her? In that 30. Yes. 30s, 30.
30 flirty private.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that's the magazine that you were going to create. Thank God you weren't going 80s style on that front cover.
That's an awesome cover that she did. I was like,
yeah. I mean, it's stylish, but we're gonna have to keep up with it. Now she's marketing. Add marketing to your slide before it gets presented.
No.
I changed them.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's fine.
I saw. All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. I am getting a lot of text messages that people are coming. Brittany's texting if you want to help her too, Ash. So we'll just get started because we have a lot to fit in. Plus we have some big announcements and some people are running late. So I'm going to switch this around a little bit, but it's so great to see many of you who don't typically come into the market center. I will make the announcement that we are going to go back to hybrid style teaching again. Just because with the Delta variant and predictions for the fall, we just want to ensure that we're giving the best value back to the agents. And although it's great that all of you are here, we encourage you to come back in next month as well. But for those that still don't feel comfortable or are nervous about this second portion, now we need a third shot. For those of you who've gotten a shot, I guess there's going to be a third booster and blah. So we're going back to hybrid style where things will be live and recorded still. So I'm just letting you guys know that. Moving forward, Mitchell Weissman is actually going to be here right after. So after our shareholder meeting, there is lunch that's being provided by the Market Center for you out in the common area. And then we encourage you, if you have time, Mitchell and Emery are coming in for an hour to do use and occupancy and suitable housing. So if you have questions about that, you want to learn more about that, that's the topic for today. So they will be here in about an hour. Come on up, Jay. We have.
Picture better.
You should. Well, listen, we're doing a huge photo shoot at the end of September, so if you'd like to be a
Oh,
part
this
of
one's
it.
totally new photo. This is-
But you don't have the arms. I know. You just talk down. You don't see arms. All right, go take it away.
All right, well, I'll start the meal with dessert. I have 3 things for you. I don't know if you have the next slide.
Yes. Just push spacebar.
Spacebar? Oh, cool.
There we go.
All right, so as we continue to celebrate the merger with RMS and Guild Mortgage, we're actually going to transition to the name a little bit sooner than we thought. We're going to try to do like RMS, a division of Guild. I think we're just going to go full tilt and just adopt everything right away. But in spirit of trying to celebrate everything and kind of bringing the community together, we're going to have a huge party up in New Hampshire. It's Billy Sports Bar. They're closed on Mondays, so we're renting the whole place out on the 30th. It can be open bar, food, drinks. We tried to have a grand prize, and there were too many difficulties with setting it up.
You had me all pumped up
I know, but
yesterday.
it's gonna be something similar. So we tried to do a 1-year lease on Mercedes, like that was gonna be the top prize. And with mileage overages and all those types of things, it was difficult to set that up. So, but it's gonna be something in that vein, something big, grand prize. Bunch of other giveaways, swag, and all that stuff. So if you can make it up on the 30th, I'd love to see it. Guidelines have been loosening. We saw it on Monday. They used to take student loans, and if somebody didn't have a payment associated with it, you'd have to use 1% of the outstanding balance to qualify the borrower. Well, they're kind of loosening guidelines. Now FHA and Freddie Mac have gone to a 0.5% point. So that's kind of going to help some folks with qualifications. You got to get Fannie Mae there. They're not quite there, but they're still using 1%. The borrower is in an income-based repayment plan. And because of COVID, if they've been forced into forbearance, we can kind of drag them out and get something from the student loan companies. So you could have somebody that has $100,000 student loans, and we're supposed to hit them for $500 a month. They might be on a payment plan though for $75 a month. So we can actually show a payment of $75 and use that for qualification. So squeeze every little bit of income we can out and reduce every liability that we can. And the final thing is we do have access to Guild's jumbo product now. So I've been touting this. It's a 10% down, no PMI product. It's awesome. it helps both. It's actually 10.01%, you get the 89.99. But if you're looking for somebody that doesn't have that 20% down to do that jumbo in county that requires it, give me a call and give them 10%.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you. Jasper, come on up.
Morning, good morning. Someone came to me last week and they said, hey, are there any problems that you could run into from an insurance standpoint with a new purchaser, a new buyer of a home? And it kind of got my gears turning on, and I've got a list sort of problems and of ways to overcome it, but I wanted to just talk about it today because I figured while I'm coming up with the list, it might be a good idea just to kind of have these things in the back of your mind. And I'm currently having a couple of problems with some old homes that have pools that are just in horrible shape and that are with roofs that are in really bad shape. And so two big things I would caution borrowers or buyers when they're looking at homes are roofs 20 years and older. From an insurance standpoint, they're going to have a challenge. Majority of companies have a 20-year look back. So if the age of the roof is more than 20 years, it's really going to narrow down the amount of companies and the type of policy that they can look at. If it's more than 30 years, it's really sort of like, it really comes to like a head at the 30-year mark. So if you've got a home where the roof is 35 years, it appears to be in pretty good shape. Majority of companies don't care. They want the 30 years, they want the 20 years. And I would just caution your buyer to say, hey, the likelihood of someone coming back, the real estate agent might not have the foresight, the lender maybe not have the foresight, nobody might have the foresight, but there's going to be someone there that's going to hit the brakes and they're going to say, we're going to need a new roof on this. And it's going to cause a bit of a problem. And so the reason why I'm coming up with this list for you is so that there are no surprises, there are no problems for you in the home selling or home buying process for your clients. Another big one that we've been seeing are neglected pools, attractive nuisances, things like that. So if the pool isn't fully fenced in, again, you're really narrow to the companies that you can look at. If the pool isn't fenced in and the water is green, it becomes an even more narrow path. And so I would just caution buyers about that. Flood zone's another big one. The bank is the one that's going to put the requirement of the flood insurance on there. It's their money. Insurance company's not going to require it on a house because floods aren't covered, but the lender wants to know that their investment is covered. And so I would just look at potentially having flood insurance requirement early and often in the process so that you can kind of get that box checked, because flood insurance can be, there could be many hurdles involved in overcoming it. And again, the goal is to make it as easy as possible for you guys to sell the house. So that's what I got for you today. Anybody have any questions about other problems? Go right ahead, Sarah.
I've had an issue pop up before where if I'm on both buyer and seller side, if there's knob and tube, an issue with insurance.
That's virtually impossible. They have to go. I mean, there's an insurance entity formed in Massachusetts because of all the Enigma houses in Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts Fair Plan. I'm sure a lot of buyers and sellers are familiar with that. They'll insure any home, any age, any wiring, any pet, any roof age. They just come up with the appropriate rate for it. And not everybody likes the rate. So there is one I mean, you talked about having a narrow path to go down. Massachusetts Fair Plan is sort of it. That is the one, that's a narrow little street that we have to go down if the house qualifies for it. That's the only option they have.
So it won't qualify if there's knob and tube.
Not even for a substandard market,
Okay.
like an excess lines, a company that even picks up insurance policies that standard markets won't.
Yeah.
They won't even consider it. So it's a huge, knob and tube is a huge red flag. Thank you for saying that. I in my mind, I had talked about that previously, so I left that out. But knob and tube, I think, is the number one, especially with the older homes in Massachusetts. If they haven't been taken down to the stud, if they haven't had the electrical upgraded, knob and tube, I mean, it'll all stop right there. From
It
an
affects
insurance
the
standpoint.
lending too, from the lending point of view. A lot of lenders will not lend if there's not been two.
It all depends on the appraiser. If the appraisers are eyes and ears, so they go out there and they say there's a safety and soundness issue with that, then it could be all right. So,
Yeah.
with regards to the flood insurance, too, if there's any questions on whether or not property's in flood zone, give me a call. I can run it in about 10 minutes to find out whether or not it's gonna be required, and then you guys can jump ahead and, get that policy set up.
Same on the flip side, I can tell you if it's in a flood zone. However, I won't be able to make the determination on whether or not the loan is gonna require the flood insurance. I can tell you, I mean, every house, I guess, in Massachusetts is in a flood zone. They're rated differently with the likelihood of them flooding. And so different flood zones, the lender's gonna require you to have the flood insurance. Other flood zones with, a 0.01% annually chance of flooding, they're gonna move right past it. And so,
Sorry, so
That's
keep
okay.
harping on the knob and tube thing. I just have had a resolution come about of someone offering to pay a year's worth of insurance. So I kind of keep the deal together. Is that advisable or no? Because they're saying they can get insured at a higher rate, so the seller may offer, okay, we'll give you $2,000 for, something that should cost $900 or something.
that's what the Massachusetts Fair Plan would do. They're gonna be the only option that would insure it, and they're gonna rate it appropriately, like they're gonna just, I don't wanna call it a surcharge because it's not a surcharge, but when you answer yes and no to the underwriting questions for the policy, and then it regurgitates a rate at you, that rate that they're gonna show you is certainly inflated because you have to answer yes to the question, is there not a two?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So if they wanna pay for it, that's fine.
but it's only 1 year, so then it's still gonna be on the buyer moving forward after that 1 year. I mean, I guess it just gives them the period.
Or
to
remove
knob and
it.
tube out. But the cost of removing it,
It's expensive. I mean, it's a total overhaul, depending on the size of the house.
yeah,
$7,000 to $12,000,
yeah, I think
$15,000.
13,000 for like a 3,000 square foot.
Yeah.
Was the last one.
Yeah, I mean, they don't make it cheap. It's not cheap.
Haverhill and Bradford, those homes, a lot of those older homes in certain neighborhoods, they have knob and tube. And so if you're ever doing listing in those areas, I would just ask them. Because there was a situation a couple months ago where our agent didn't even know, experienced agent, by the way, but just didn't know what knob and tube was, never experienced it, never saw it, never came across anything, a capper. Somebody does a lot of business and they just didn't know. And so that, messed up the deal.
Typically, the light switches will have, with knob and tube, they'll have buttons that you can push. So if you see a light switch that has buttons, that should be a red flag. The only way, I guess, to get some consideration on it is if 75% of the house had been updated, 25% had knob and tube. You would have to have something in writing saying that the 25% was totally disconnected, so that there was no chance of an electrical fire. We've gotten, that requires a person to get involved, is to put their own eyes on it, but that's easy to do because, we just call underwriting and they take a look at it and they can approve it right there on the spot. It is doable, but the majority of the house can't have it, and what is left can't be connected.
All right, knob and tube.
Knob and tube.
Knob and tube. Switch it out. Mark, okay, your operating principal.
Good morning. Good morning. That is my high school picture again. Who do we have for sports enthusiasts here? Brian? I'm not shocked. I thought I would have seen you in the Olympics on floor routine. Steve, I would have thought the rings for you. So here's some names that I'm going to give you. Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, my favorite, Wilt Chamberlain, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan. With the exception of LeBron James, what do they all have in common?
They're men.
That's really good.
I mean, I picked up on that right away.
Real estate world championship. What? Yeah, what else?
They're all
Championship.
multi-family.
They're all retired. They're all retired.
They're licensed agents. They might have done so, you don't know.
Okay. I'll give you a hint. Springfield, Mass.
Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Vivian. Okay? That was painful. Okay. Now, Here's what I'm gonna tell you. I was looking at these stats the other day and I thought it was interesting. Out of all of them, this is how many people have, this is how many seasons where they played 82 games. Their season is 82 games. This is how many of them, how many seasons they played all 82 games. Shaquille O'Neal, 0. Bill Russell, 0. Magic Johnson, 0. LeBron James, 1. Tim Duncan, 3. Larry Bird, 3. Wilt Chamberlain, 4. Hakeem Olajuwon, 4. Kobe Bryant, 4. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played 20 years, he had 5. Michael Jordan, who played 15 years in the league, he's in the bottom half of all of these players, these 11 players. He's in the bottom half of how many seasons they played and how many games they played. He has 9. So pretty impressive, right? So when I was thinking about what to talk to you guys about, it's about showing up every day. You have to show up in your business every single day. And a lot of times as agents, we say, I'm going to make 100 phone calls today, or I'm going to call my database this week. And how many times do you call your database in 1 week? Yep.
0.
0, right? My point to it is this, is show up every single day and do an amount that is achievable every single day. If that's calling 5 people, if it's calling 10 people, just make sure you do something every single day. How many days does it take to form a habit? 66 is the right answer. So I challenge you to do something, commit to it, and do it for 66 days, and then let it become a habit. And it'll change your business. It will make it predictable, right? Everyone talks about how the ebbs and flows of real estate happen. Oh, I've got 6 things under agreement. Now I've closed them. I have nothing going on. But if you do something lead generation wise every single day, if it's making 7 phone calls, then if you make 7 phone calls and you sell $15 million, you know that over time, all you have to do is make 7 phone calls a day. If you want to sell more than $15 million, you can up it to 10. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Any comments?
Simple, easy, reasonable.
Simple, easy. Okay. Have a great week.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Easy. Is it really that easy?
It sounds so easy.
Sounds so easy. All right, so I don't see Susan in here, but I do have some things to add to what maybe she was gonna say, so I'll just take the broker stuff. So a couple things that I wanna say that I've seen come through the office. Number 1 is commission. So when you're running your business and you're choosing not to use a transaction coordinator, then you're responsible for making sure that the commission, at the end of the day, transaction coordinator or not, you're still responsible that the money comes in that you agreed upon in which what you signed. For example, if you signed a 6% listing and you offered out 2.5, then the difference over here is still due. If you sign a exclusive buyer contract at 3, and MLS is offering 2.5, you're still responsible on making sure if you're representing the buyer to get that 0.5%. So what we've been seeing, again, and Susan talked about this last month, communication, communication, communication. We are helping agents chase down their buyers for the 0.5%. We should not be helping chase down 0.5%. You need to show up at the closing, you need to look at your paperwork, and you need to make sure that with all the monies that are there, that the buyers or the lender or however you wrote it, they're coming up with that difference, and when you're leaving, that money is coming out. What's happening is the buyers now moved in, and the buyers don't what?
Don't want to pay.
They don't want to pay. I don't have it. I don't want to pay. Why do I have to pay? That's like a small claims court situation. We talked to Mitchell. Mitchell can talk to you guys after during lunch. He said the same thing. He's seeing it all the time. Listings too. So what we see on our end and this is scary, I wanna say, if you've never been to another real estate company, you've only started at Keller Williams, we really are the only company that allows you to write your own commission statement. Like, there's no other company that does that. And so we are trusting you doing the math. And when Kate, which we'll be introducing in a moment if you don't know who she is, she's your new MCA, when she receives that, she's just doing the math on the paper and that's what it is. But you don't need to be a math major, but to go back to showing up every day, this is your business. And as a real estate agent, there are a lot of steps, but you need to be detail oriented and you need to show up that way. And we're just seeing that a lot. The other thing that we're seeing is commitment letters. So it is your responsibility. And this is a rule of thumb, and I will speak on Susan's behalf because her and I had this conversation and she agrees. If you are representing the buyer and your commitment is due on Friday at 5 p.m. from the lender, and you haven't heard anything and it's 9 o'clock on Friday morning, what are you doing? You're calling them, what else are you doing?
Emailing.
You're starting the extension now. It is your responsibility as a broker owner, okay, in terms of brokerage. It doesn't name the lender anywhere on the paperwork. I almost think it's unfair. I'll just give my opinion about it. It's just because we're in a dispute right now, and I think it's horrible, with a horrible bank, by the way. And I just don't think it's fair that the loan officer who is just floating out on vacation, not responding to our agent attempted many times, call, text, voicemail, all proven, where are we, where are we, where are we? And didn't hear from that lender till 8 p.m. But what time was commitment? 5. Did that person start the extension? No. Now what's the problem? Buyer's deposit is at risk, period. Most of the time in the industry, we're saved because you hear from the lender, you call up Deb Lucci on the other side, you're like, we have commitment, they're sending it over right now, I know, I know the day got ahead, blah, blah, blah. In this scenario, not a great loan officer, just got their loan license like the day before, first transaction, has no idea what they're doing, and they actually did not get the loan, they did not move forward, they did not close on Tuesday, they were denied on Monday, and these poor buyers, money went to the sellers. And the sellers couldn't purchase their property, which was new construction, because this one didn't fall through. And your responsibility as the agent is to show that you have started that commitment. You have the extension. Send it to the agent, send it to the people. You have to be able to show that you've done that. Okay, now, if they didn't get signed, but your people signed it and the sellers didn't sign, but you're showing all that, that's different. But showing the phone call, we're gonna have to go through this arbitration, by the way, showing that we tried to text and phone call and this and that, it would have been much better off, because what we are taught, and we're gonna be talking about, Sarah's gonna be running Buyers 101, you fire off that extension at 9 o'clock that morning and you send it over to that list agent. Sarah.
I think it's also noted that in Mass, the attorney runs the process as far as purchase and sales go. So if you put it in your schedule like 3 days ahead of time, if the financing deadline's coming up, you say, hey, how are we on that? Because usually the attorneys themselves sometimes do an extension. And
they
move completely out of it.
Correct.
To just keep, so this doesn't happen.
So correct, but again, it goes back to communication.
Definitely.
So if you use Mitchell and you always use Mitchell, you know that Mitchell, and Anne Marie talked about it like 2 months ago. She goes 3 days before, she said, we fired that extension, it is ready to send, so that if we haven't heard from you at 9, that because they're so organized, they're saying to you, Vivian, if you haven't heard at 9, boom, we're sending it over to an attorney, we're getting all signatures. We actually get the signatures 3 days before in case we actually need it. So that's what Mitchell and Ann do. They get the buyer signature 3 days prior, just in case that we're having, just in case we're having a problem with getting commitment. And when I mean commitment, not just verbal commitment, you're supposed to be seeing something in writing, the letter, the commitment letter, not a verbal. That's not gonna work either. It has to be, and you have to talk to the loan officer to protect yourself You have to talk to your loan officer and put it in writing. I know verbally you said that we've reached commitment. Can you please send something over? Just to continue to protect you, Ron.
What I'm hearing from you is over communicate. Continue to over communicate.
In this industry, you can never over communicate.
Right, whatever the word is, what I mean is, don't, just always be like on top. Don't
Yeah.
let it slide, don't wait, you know, don't be like nervous, oh, should I send this? Just send the email
Right.
off, what's going on with this phone?
But a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know, and to be honest, if you're not doing this, I say change your business strategy. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, if you haven't heard, fire it away. Now, will that cause potential conversations? Why? Why do we need an extension?
Yes.
We haven't heard. I'm assuming we're not gonna need this, but to protect my buyer's money, exactly with what Vivian just said, I'm there to protect them. This is just a caution, and I wanna make sure that I've sent this off to you. Deb, and then Steve.
Also,
and
you
then
need
Deb.
to make sure it's a clean commitment, because oftentimes they'll send out a commitment, but it's not a clean commitment, so it doesn't really, for contractual purposes, it doesn't suffice.
So, Jason.
Always have your attorney take a look at it and let them make the call.
So, Jason, can you explain, just because we're also recording this too, but can you explain the difference of what she's talking about?
Yeah,
Clean
absolutely.
commitment?
So you can have a conditional approval and still have outstanding conditions like subject to final verification, funds to close, maybe they're still doing an income calculation. Just because you get a piece of paper that says commitment on top of it, if there are outstanding conditions on it, that does not extend the financing contingency date for those remaining items. Now, there's always going to be little rocks in there, final verification, and what's called undisclosed debt monitoring. We always do a final credit check right before closing. So those two things should be on every commitment letter, but there shouldn't be anything else on there. Shouldn't be subject to an appraisal sale or review of an appraisal. So that's what that means by a clean commitment. And in New Hampshire and Mass, the wording in the contract is a little different. In Massachusetts, it's a buyer protection. Commitments of the finance contingency is buyer protection. In New Hampshire, it's a seller's right. The seller has the right to see that commitment letter. So you physically have to provide that to the seller in New Hampshire.
Sometimes I love when we throw out these golden nuggets, and many of you are like, huh, that's interesting, huh? And you know what? That's what it is. If you're new and you just got in the industry yesterday, or you're a new agent here, or whether you've done a transaction or not, you're always learning. This is definitely the industry that you're never gonna know everything before you go out there and launch. If that's what you're looking for, this is not the industry for you, come talk to me, because you're never gonna know. It's always evolving. I wanna go to Deb and Steve, and then I'll come back to you, Ron. Deb.
And that's why it's so important to have a real estate attorney. A real estate attorney, and
'Cause
not
you're
just an
not
attorney, not just a divorce attorney or a litigation, just, you need to find a real estate attorney or a couple of them that you like, because they know what we need, what we expect.
And
they
on
have
the
the
buyer
planning
and
side.
seller side, there are a lot of
Yes.
sellers that say, I don't need one.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the attorney should be making the call on that anyway.
So here's the thing, but the seller honestly doesn't see the value. Now that, in my opinion, would be a great class for maybe Mitchell and Ann to explain the value, maybe type something out. You can memorize it, put it part of your presentation, whatever it is. But right when you're talking to sellers, you should be talking to them about that value that's provided, because the only time that's needed is when it's, you know, when stuff starts to fall apart and now you're like, hey, I know they didn't hire you yet, but like now we need to quickly hire you because we have this problem. And so you can avoid that. I want to go to Steve and then I'll go to Deb.
I was gonna talk about conditional commitment, but also, I know if you use an attorney, they usually add the language, but my extension code also specifies that if they won't sign it, then I'll get the deposit to the buyer. Basically, they're not willing to sign the extension for financing, the process of return to the buyer, or how it's discharged. You can protect the buyer to the point where the seller doesn't sign it, just send an extension, we extend it this day, you can still leave yourself with it.
Will you do me a favor and will you forward me your term, like your wording for that? Because another thing too that we see with agents right now, or calls that I get on the weekend or weeknights is, do you have language for that? And I'm like, I have a phone number to the attorney for that language. Because then I have to think about, because now I'm responsible for that, right? So the way that I would write Title V is actually 8 sentences, believe it or not. Many of you just write one sentence, pass, fail. But that's not that's not how I was taught, and I was taught very differently. And so every contingency language is different. If you go, again, it's the all agent access drive of Google. You go to shared with me in your Google Drive. In shared with me, you have a folder that we've already sent to everybody called all agent access. In there are already 3 different files on contingency languages. And a lot of them for seller, for buyer, and then one that's like mixed. And so I'd like to throw up a couple of these things like a commission statement. That's a blanketed commission statement, or something like Steve's saying, because many of you are having that challenge. Who else wanted to talk before we move on? Ron?
I was just gonna add that when you send that extension, it is a request, it's not a right guarantee. So if you're saying to the seller, we need an extension, there's gonna be a dialogue that's gonna happen. They're gonna say, no, you've had enough time, you're moving forward, or it's over, or whatnot. So just reminding the agent, it's not a guarantee, like you just send an extension, it's gonna work. Because at some point, the risk has to shift to the buyer, so that the seller can have the confidence that they're moving forward on collecting.
But if they get to,
It's a
but if they get denied,
Yeah.
you've done
Yeah, you want us
according to your buyer agency contract, what you're supposed to get your buyer's money back. And that's the point of why we're saying send off the extension.
That's all I
Because with arbitration, we've already been down this road here at Keller Williams, I think 5 or 6 years ago, Susan said. And the text and the email and the phone call was not enough.
Right.
The board is going to look for a fired extension, whether they've signed it or not, sent to attorney, sent to agent. And that right there could be enough to potentially get the buyer's money back if needed.
So when you send a request for an extension,
Yep.
Ron said there's no guarantee they're gonna accept it.
Yep.
So is it implied that we need an extension, we're asking for an extension because we can't meet the deadline? So therefore, if you don't grant this, we get our money back?
So what you're doing is,
Or
most
is it
likely
two
you're
separate
gonna meet
documents?
commitment because you haven't heard anything bad from the lender. But the lender, to be honest with you, there's a lot of people playing in the real estate field. You're not the only one. When you go to sell yourself at a listing, it's not just about you. You're not gonna be the only person part of this transaction, unfortunately. You're going to have a lot of people. And so when you talk about your mortgage lender, okay, now they have their assistant, they have their underwriter, the underwriter has an assistant. And so it's kind of like who's on first. So usually from the lender, you're hearing, I'm waiting for the underwriter, I'm waiting for that. It's there, it's in the queue, I haven't heard anything denied, but it's there. So that means it's probably gonna be in the afternoon. But to honestly protect your buyer, you should still have a conversation with the list agent so that you're not firing them up about why. Just, I haven't received the actual paper and I wanna make sure I'm protecting my buyer.
So is your buyer protected because sending the request for the,
It's the first step of being
It's the first
protected.
step.
It's the first step.
so
from
is it
guarantee.
implied that we may not meet the deadline, or does that require another?
Well, if you haven't received commitment and it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you're waiting for 5, we're doing this to protect our buyer. It's what you're supposed to do as a buyer agent. It's you're
If you do
preventing
it
it.
at 5 o'clock, you're screwed.
If you do it at 4:40, you're screwed. If it didn't get sent, you're
Yeah.
screwed. Well, you're not, you're buyers.
But
And
if
then
they-
that
if they
you
don't-
are,
If
hold
they
on,
don't reject, if they don't accept the
Yeah.
request for an extension, and you get the commitment by 5 o'clock.
It's
That's
fine.
fine.
That's fine.
Yay, everyone's happy after sweating off 2 pounds.
The only other thing I'd say is, the conversation with the other real estate agent should happen a lot earlier.
Mhm.
You should be keeping that other agent informed of where your buyer is, so that when you're asking for an extension, it's not a surprise to anybody. You know that they're gonna be more planning, because the seller's already aware that it might be coming and why it might be coming.
And it goes both
Anyone that
ways.
drops it on me that last day, they're not gonna get it back signed right away, so I get the detail on exactly what's happening. But I'm not gonna tie up myself a long period of time.
Yeah.
If I don't know why I'm getting that change.
And same with the list agent. Listen, it doesn't just fall on the buyer agent. Everyone thinks that too. As a list agent, you have responsibilities too. You don't just put it in MLS and then show up at the closing. I know that sometimes that we get that lazy, but that's not true either. You should be reaching out as well and ensuring that communication. It's just supposed to be equal. It's a relationship. You're in relationship for 30 or 60 days with somebody on the other side for the commonality of a good deed, of finding a happy buyer and seller to come together. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Vivian?
So I have
because Jason, you said something that can pique my interest in a situation I ran into a couple of times where I'm the list agent and the buyer agent calls and says, we have commitment, great, send it along. And they don't, they said, that's my buyer's private information, there's information on there they don't want to share with the seller or you.
They don't have it.
I've run
Not
into that
entitled to
too.
the, dimension.
All they have to do is just say, they have it and you're good.
That's
I
it.
thought that-
There's something like you said, in
No,
New
but if you
Hampshire,
can't show up to buy it, right?
New Hampshire, it's a seller's right.
it's a seller's right,
Yeah, it's
it's
just.
fire protection.
It
But
was in
right,
New Hampshire.
for buyer protection and buyer agency, you actually have to see it, like they said, make sure that it's clean because you're protecting the buyer, but you are not obligated to show it
But
to
in
the
New
seller.
Hampshire, you are.
In New Hampshire.
This listing was in New Hampshire, so.
It's big banks, I feel like
Just
big
go
banks
right to
don't
the
want to
end.
release any information to
They
anyone.
don't-
It was actually Bank of America.
Hey,
Makes sense now.
All right, let's bring it up to a positive. If you really want to know the worst thing, and I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, it's that Santander.
They
Sonnet, what is the name?
Santander.
They should be shut down tomorrow.
I agree.
That's my opinion, but that's just an opinion. We've had a lot of problems with them on our side here that I can prove, shut it down. Okay, so let's move on here. Many of you hopefully have opened up your email. I'm almost thinking that we're gonna have to go to a bomb email situation because it's very interesting to me that we send you emails. It's not, listen, we don't mean to boggle you down with emails. That's why if you receive one from, honestly, if you receive one from me, you have to read it. Okay, that's why I used to send them when I was the Beverly team leader, like all the time. And then the AOC was like, how about the team leader only send really like when it needs to be like either highlighted or some things like extremely important. Okay, when I have an announcement that someone's going to be taking care of your money, you probably want to read it. Because I had 5 text messages of, well then, if Jillian's away, who's handling my closing? Who's Kate? That one was my favorite. Me, read your email. Who's Kate? I just couldn't believe it. So today we are gonna introduce who is Kate.
Picture with you.
It's just crazy. And again, it's about what Mark said. Mark, great job starting that off. You have to show up. And that means you have to read your emails and you have to be in the know, especially if it comes to leadership changes, things in the industry, MLS changes, things like that. So this is Kate, and Kate is here live, Kate Gilmartin. And if you didn't read the email, she has been an MCA. First, she was an assistant MCA in Newburyport. And ironically, Jillian was in Beverly at the time as the MCA. So Jillian and Kate had a relationship of training already established back then. And then Kate became the MCA in Newburyport full-time. And then Jason Paracella, and who's the operating principal there, combined all of his market centers into one big KW evolution. So he took the Reading Market Center, he took his Beverly Market Center, Newburyport, and then business centers of East Boston, Salem, and Topsfield, put them into one umbrella and called it KW Evolution, and therefore only needed one TL, one MCA, 111. So that being said, we actually got the best person, and I still try to say to Jason, you should keep her, so we're really excited. So this is Kate, if you just wanna wave and say hi to everybody. We're really excited. Many of you have already received emails from her. Their styles are very similar, as you can see, with emails and wanting to help you. So after our meeting, please introduce yourself. This is who's going to be emailing you, and this is your new MCA. So we're really excited, yes. And so then everybody was like, where's Jillian going? I'm like, she's going nowhere. She's going nowhere. She's staying with us. And so Jillian is actually going to be the director of operations for the entire market center. So Jillian, why don't we explain the role and what you'll be doing?
All right, so thank you. We're not really going anywhere, guys, I promise. So kind of like before, I'm gonna be your first point of contact resource for you guys within the market center. So if you're not really sure where to go, come see me. I can either answer it or I will direct you as to who best can answer it. Again, same thing, agent resource. So anything you need, please come see me. I'm gonna be doing one-on-one meetings if you guys need help with certain things. Command, commission, so that Kate's not boggled down with that DocuSign, because that's the stuff I know. Please come see me, we can book a time, or if you wanna go over goals, you're looking to grow a team, things like that, just come see me. I'm gonna assist Jamie with recruiting, so I'll be recruiting like newer agents, new talent, new licensees, things like that in the industry. I will be eventually taking over career night, which again is for people who are looking to get in this industry, or maybe have just gotten their license and want to know more about KWs. If you have anybody, send them my way. And I'll just oversee the day-to-day operations, the expansion of the market center.
And as you know, we expanded into Methuen, so we are going to be doing a huge launch in September, which I'm going to be talking about after I introduce your leadership team. And we are looking into Tewksbury by the end of the year. So there's going to be a lot of exciting things happening. And so Jillian, you know, again, director of operations, executive team leader, assistant team leader, co-team leader, but everything that your team leader here does, I'm out there trying to recruit the experienced agents, meet with our top 20%, run shareholder meetings, and I'm here to put out fires before the broker. So Jillian is taking all the other stuff that a team leader actually really does. And director of operations, a lot of you don't know where to point your questions. And sometimes get aggravated if you send an email and I don't know where to find this, or my printer's down, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. She is another resource for you to help you directly. But if Ashley, who is more, and you'll see on the next slide, Ashley will be more command related. If it has something to do specifically with command, smart plans, design, stuff like that, she's gonna say, I'll help you for now, but we want to redirect you over to Ashley. Okay, so she will be in the market center. She did take the office that I was in. I'm not telling you where I am, but that's where she is.
She's by DNA, she's hiding down there.
Even though we give that description, we don't want you to take advantage that if the copier is out of paper, you can replace it. Okay.
I don't know, Mark. You know what? That was profound.
Ask her how to
Thank
do
you.
it the first time, but after that, you're on your own.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the little things, right? I mean, it is.
It's little things.
It is that little thing. We're not gonna do it for you. Okay, so then everyone's like, well, then what does Ashley do? Okay, so everything, she's doing everything too. So basically, here's the thing. Gary Keller with EXP and Compass and whatever that next real estate company is that's gonna come ahead, that's going to start, we have to be the people in the forefront. We have to be the Apple product, which means if that means changing it up and 2.0ing the experience, then that's what we need to do. We have two talented people that do very similar things that work very well with one another. And so I would like to highlight both of them on what they're great at, and one will own one and one will own the other. And I know that it can be confusing for many of you that have had questions. That's really why Jillian's your director of operations, because she's going to help define whatever that seek of a problem is and direct it to where it's supposed to go. Okay, so Ashley, executive assistant, come on up, Ash. Let's talk about some of the things that Ashley's going to be doing. Ash,
Hi.
Good morning.
In our KW red shoes.
My KW
red
shoes.
She's a rock.
Just purchased
Yeah.
a box.
No, I love a good theme. I love a good brand, so I'm all about it. Okay, so pretty much what is happening to our leadership team is we're doing a little bit of shifting. So I'm, for the most part, going to stay the same in my role, what I'm doing, and how I'm going to be helping all the agents here. However, I am kind of shifting just a little bit. So Jillian and I are going to be working together with Jamie to kind of grow and retain our market center. So if you have any questions where you're like, I don't really know who to go to, you're going to start with Jillian as your main point of contact, but you may end up with me. So I'm here to do teaching, education, event planning. I'm kind of like the cheerleader of the market center, like, come to Oktoberfest, come to our next training, like it's gonna be really fun. I'm eventually gonna be starting to teach classes, whether that is for social media, Facebook, even if it's something, an overview of Scholarly Road marketing and how they can help you. They're just an excellent resource. So please come to my classes. I bring snacks. I love snacks.
How many of you received that awesome Oktoberfest invitation in the mail?
That was all Ashley.
Pretzels galore, that was Ashley. So Ashley is going to implement a lot of the retention needs and recruiting needs that we need. And to be honest with you, it's marketing. It really is a lot of marketing, and a lot of you have seen it's either videos or you like the style or you like what's being done. And so all of that stuff actually does fall onto Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, my goal for 2022 is to have our community and our area to kind of turn and look like, what is KW Andover doing over there? They're doing something, they're causing some hype and they're kind of changing it up. So whatever I can do as far as promoting our market center, helping you guys internally and what your needs are, I'm here.
And so to talk about that disruption, yes, so we are launching a campaign in September. We are going to be looking at our capping model. We're going to be looking at our numbers. We're going to be looking at our splits. We're going to be looking at transaction coordination in-house. We're going to be looking at printing in-house. Hopefully maybe no more Merrill. Maybe if we had a machine and a person here, everything that you wanted printed, you're going to pay for it just like you would, but you'd be able to pick it up. We're really focusing on being able to be that one-stop shop where the agent can get everything that they absolutely need here in the location. And so in order to do that, we do need to change it up. So we will be doing a digital magazine out to the industry. The agents will be receiving it. We're printing it. We're sending it out to every single agent that's within our territory. We are going to feature some of you. So if you received an email about a photo shoot, that's because you've been selected based on criteria, whether it was numbers, how long you've been at the company, culture, things like that. And so once we launch that, we need to give the industry something to talk about. But what we really needed to do when we first came here was to establish relationships with everybody here. And then obviously once we did that, the big excuse is COVID happened. Well, COVID's back there, it's 2021, we have this Delta thing, that's gonna pass too. And so we're just trying to move forward. So this is the leadership team. The two people that will also be joining our team, Sarah. So Sarah, this is Sarah, if you don't know Sarah. So Sarah, when I sent an email out to the agents, and I want to say thank you, I sent an email saying that we need to grow a business development program. And we need to do it with agents that are experienced in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire, so that they can answer the appropriate questions, that when new agents come in, that they have a coach, they have a transaction coach, and they have a mentor. We firmly believe that if you have all three of these things, along with what Keller Williams provides in terms of training and resources and leverage, as long as they're doing the work and showing up, there's no way that they can fail. So that being said, Sarah is going to be taking on the new agents that join the market center. And so she'll be doing script play, role play, goal setting, lead generating, keeping them working on their business, in their business, redirecting them to the Ignite programs, the MREA series, the growth calls on Monday. So she's going to be working on production things. Then we have Deb, and Deb's in the back. And so Deb is going to be their transaction coach. So transaction coach means she will be going from start to finish and teach them how to and explain every single form from the buyer point of view and the seller point of view, and be the point of contact that even though that they've gone through classes and you remember your first transaction, you panic. There's no way that nobody ever panics writing their first offer, even though they might have gone to 900 classes on how to write that offer. When you're sweating and you're ready and your clients are ready and you're gonna write it, you still want somebody to either look it over, be there for you, and Deb's gonna be that person for the new agents coming in. Deb and Sarah are also going to be teaching classes in the market center for everybody to attend. So they'll have their own private groups with the newer agents that come in that are in the program. That's required for new agents, by the way. And they'll be teaching Buyer 101, Seller 101, contracts, forms, and things like that. So I want to say congratulations for stepping up. I'm excited to have you. I would also like to let you know that we also have 13 mentors that raised their hands that went through a process with me. And so those mentors will be responsible for allowing the agents to do an open house with them, to do a listing presentation, a buyer presentation, and to have another point of contact if needed. And so we honestly think that this model, and we're trying it out. It's another tryout just like you would for your business, 30, 60, 90 days. If we implement the foundational stuff now, and then we do the 30 to 60, by the end of October, it should be running so smoothly that all the new agents that join the company don't feel lost. They have their productivity binder, they have transaction management, and they have a full leadership staff. So those are our announcements for that. ALC, we have some announcements here for some committees, things that we're doing moving forward. And our ALC, this is August, is only gonna be our ALC for 2 more months. So if you qualify, you're in the top 20%. In October, you'll be receiving an email from me to be considered to be on next year's ALC committee. So, Steve? Yay!
Trust that with us.
September 13th is the next meeting, you all want to attend. And, September 13th, the next meeting.
You actually should attend because they'll be meeting with Kate and you guys can get to know your MCA.
So Kate's just gonna start, it's really learn up, so we have to get that together yet, get her digital activated, or adjustment for us at Alpha, and then, still looking to run a program this fall, so. still doing that. Get that out.
And wealth building with Matt Erdman. Matt Erdman is an OP in Connecticut, but Matt Erdman really does have a lot of buckets of different types of wealth, passive income and wealth that he works in. And so he's teaching a series that started yesterday. It is recorded. It is on the New England YouTube channel for KW. Ashley, can we send out an email today when we attach this slide deck to the direct link for your KW New England YouTube channel? Please look up for the wealth building series with Matt Erdman. It is amazing. I was listening to it for an hour yesterday and it's very powerful, and that's about financing. So I just want to encourage that. It's Tuesdays, I believe 2 to 4, started yesterday. Jeffrey, how are you?
I'm part of the growth committee, and we've been doing a lot of training on lead generation. Last week we had a really good training on lead gen and like all the sources of lead gen that we can all be doing. And as you guys were mentioning, it's all about discipline. If you do the same thing repeatedly, you actually get the result. So what I wanted, we have September 9th starting at 1, we will have our next meeting. And what we're going to be doing is we will be going over the top 3 lead generation books that I've read, and I'm just picking specific chapters to go over. Then at the end, we'll be doing an exercise. So that will be September 9th.
Perfect, thank you. Jen? Fun committee, Oktoberfest is coming.
Oktoberfest is coming.
Don't you love how I leave you guys all?
And our next meeting is the first Wednesday of next month. And we are looking into bike and brew and axe throwing.
I could use that right
I
about
have been
now.
axe throwing, it is a blast.
It is, if you hit it,
It's fun. You get it right in the head.
Yes, no, if you haven't been to the place, it's amazing. There's pool tables, there's shuffleboard, axe throwing, and this is what I don't understand.
Yeah. with the-
Okay, hold on, this is the oxymoron, I think it's called. There's axe throwing,
And alcohol.
but there's a bar.
What could possibly go wrong?
I mean, what? I'm shocked. I mean, you sign a waiver that's pretty long, but
You get a babysitter. She's there, she's pretty.
Yeah, that is.
They're right there with you.
Yeah. You gotta listen to that, you have no choice.
so that brings us into Oktoberfest. So we are gonna be talking about that. We do need people to volunteer. It takes a village. We want to be able to provide these fun things too, but you understand we work full-time too. We actually work just as much as you do, even though it looks like we're just open from 9 to 5. I don't think I've ever worked 9 to 5 since I was 16 years old, by the way. So I don't even know what that is. So even though the market center's open 9 to 5, we all are working as much as you, and we want to be able to provide this for you. So we're going to need some committee members to help us with that. All right, so as our ALC graduates and 2022, a new batch comes in.
Just forgot about it.
Sorry, Art, I'm going back. I forgot about you. That's never like me.
Wow.
Did I make a mistake tonight?
We want to make sure you have.
Art Durkin.
So real quick, we do technology committee, and we're actually having our next training September 28th, this will be a Tuesday. Mike Jewer and I are going to conduct a class on how we can harness some innovative ways to do lead gen. Just to talk a little bit about showing time. I'll talk a little bit about some command platforms and some of the ads and campaigns that we do, and talk about it. That's at 1 o'clock, September 28th. And I'm so excited to have Ashley as part of our technology committee, as she's the new tech person. And we're going to be coming up with a date in the coming weeks as she's now taking over.
Thank you. Here's a trick on lead generating. You have to ask for the business. That's really what it is. How many of you took or was on the Rachel Lee call for social media? Okay, so after the call, Rachel talked about, taking her class and you can purchase this package, and I thought it was live, but it's not. It's actually pre-recorded. So once I learned that, I got a little creative for you guys, and we bought a pre-packaged recording for Ashley, and Ashley has been watching it, and she's going to take the material, break it down, and whatever Rachel is talking, because her personality is really great, but she probably, with the 3 hours, you probably got maybe 30 minutes of stuff, and then she likes to put personal stories into it. You guys should just probably do an hour class, and Ashley can break it down so that she's going to teach you what was in that class. So that will be coming soon, and that's all about social media. So Rachel, she never sold real estate. She just loves upon people, and how purposeful she is on Facebook and what she asks. That's how she grew her business. And she does crazy business just by being purposeful about how she is on social media. Okay, so she talks to you about like even creating groups. One little nugget that you can take away now that maybe will excite you to go to Ashley's Pats coming in September is, so for example, for me, there are certain people I talk about in the industry. There are top 20%, there's companies, there's this. So I've broken them into my own groups. So in the morning, I go on Facebook for 10 minutes and I purposefully comment on the people that I'm in conversations with about business. Because not everybody posts. So if I already set up these groups, then that will push out all the other people. When you scroll and you're like, all right, so you see everybody in the thread, you can actually break that out. And if I just wanted to be purposeful about our office, I have everybody that I'm friends with on Facebook in a group for our office. So if any of you posted, then if I just hit group, I'm only gonna see anybody in our office that's posted in the last 24 hours. So that I can quickly just go boom, 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 knowing I didn't have to weed through all the other stuff that was happening on Facebook. So imagine if you broke it up into your clients, right? So your buyers, sellers, investors, you got it. So if you broke them into that and you kept them in there and you're trying to stay in relationship, we're going to talk about that with Tafini on what are you doing to stay in relationship. You break them out into those groups, then you purposefully can just click comment, and that's all you should do on Facebook for today. All right, so that's a little takeaway if you guys want to learn that, come to the class. So speaking of Buffini, Ron Carpenito.
Hi.
So we are starting Buffini. It starts up on September 13th, every Monday, 2 p.m. What would you like to talk about, Ron? A little bit about it?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
Handling objections, dealing with the pricing discussion. That's going to be coming up. How to really brand yourself better, become the area expert, be someone of influence in your community. This is higher level Buffini training, so this is the next step in the pathways to mastery. You're going to get all your marketing materials included. If you're not utilizing KW Command at a high level, there's a kind of a mini CRM that's included that you could utilize just for your relationship people, but we all want to be using KW Command. And you don't need to use the Buffini system. You can do everything in KW Command. You're just gonna have to tag things on your own and do it that way. What else is gonna be there? So it's gonna be an 8-week program, 2 hours on a Monday from 2 to 4. We already have a bunch of top end agents who have committed to it that have been part of Buffini for many, many years. What else can I tell you about it? I mean, it's just great. Oh, RMS, they're sponsoring 2 scholarships. So if you sign up on the first day, we're gonna pull 2 names from a hat of who signed up, and RMS is gonna reimburse you for your enrollment fees. And our office.
And the market center's
even-
gonna
yeah,
reimburse too. You
Yeah.
just have to do production in the first year, just like Bold.
Right.
And it's what, it's
$400,
$400.
$395, it's not a
And
lot, so you
so-
get that all the potential.
Yeah, you just gotta close a piece of business,
So
so.
super easy. Ashley has been doing a great job sending out some information about it. There's been, summary videos sent to you, like, 8 to 10 minute, like what it's all about, learn about the modules, so you can get excited about it. Signups are limited. There's only a certain amount of people that can fit in the class. And one last thing, and I'm gone. We're doing this in conjunction with the Bedford office to kind of get a little bit more intra-office community spirit going together, a little competitive spirit, and have some fun, because that's our sister office. A lot of the investors here are investors up there. We have relationships there. So they run the program, same day and date and time as we're running it. So it could be fun holding each office accountable. Yeah.
This would also be a great thing to do in conjunction with what I said earlier. This kind of sets you up on a path to move forward on lead generation, writing notes, talking to people. So for anyone that took what I said to heart, I would 100% do that.
Yeah, it's gonna help get your
Buffini has
database
changed-
tight.
Has changed. I know agents where Buffini has changed their lives forever.
$395 or what?
So it's $395 if you're not in any Buffini coaching programs, and it's $195 if you're in a coaching program where you receive the items of value every month. Right? So, good question. Thank you.
Hey, I was just gonna say, if anybody's not heard of it, the Brian Buffini podcast would be a great way to listen and get a taste so that you know what you're walking into.
Exactly.
The caliber of.
It's high level, it's high level, and he's been around for 25 plus years. In fact, some of the MAPS coaching that we have today was a result of Buffini coaching from back in the day. So, Sarah, you know about it. I mean,
I love Buffini.
it's totally relationship.
Especially for people who are afraid to reach outside of their sphere, like to do, like for me personally, I hate cold calling. If I'm like, the only cold calling I'm doing is around an open house. So I've really connected with my database, and Buffini is really the way that I'm able to kind of categorize, as you know, my A clients, B clients, C clients, and I wouldn't have known that.
Well, I hope you'll consider jumping
It's
in.
how I was able
Be
to
great.
quit my job and do real estate full time. So
Are you
my
gonna-
undergrad didn't pay me.
Are you gonna do this in an Irish accent like?
The
Yes,
Irish bro,
my
no,
bride.
I won't have that. It'll
My
be pretty
bride.
straight up Italian. But, thank you, that's all my
Translation,
time.
translation.
I'm around after if you want to talk about it in more detail, come to my office and I'll be sending out some videos.
And the good thing is the podcast is free.
Yeah, I'll guess.
So if this is something that is not financially something that you can partake or participate in right now, then start with at least the podcast and then get inspired that way. And then maybe when it comes back around, you can take it back.
And one last thing, before it
Yes.
starts on the 13th, I'll probably do a recap of the Essentials Program meeting. Just
Okay.
kind of get everyone in here and kind of recap on what the Essentials class was about, so you can start fresh with the advanced.
Very nice. All right, so back to not getting sued. Number is back to school month. I cannot, actually, it's August. I think my kids have August 30th, I think. But, there's a little sense of normalcy. It's great, to be honest with you, because they're children, to get them back on the school bus, to get them back into school full time, to get them back socializing with their friends. It's a big need for adults. It's a big need for children. So we're not saying that you're our children. However, we do need to go back to the basics in September and reestablish some things so that we aren't getting sued. If you are dealing with rentals, if you're taking a rental, technically the policy in our office is that you're supposed to take 2 classes in order to be rental certified. Rentals are the fastest way to get sued. I stay away from rentals. Now, you're a licensed real estate agent. Somebody calls you on a rental and you do get phone calls to test you. All you need to say, if you haven't done this yet, so you have to tell the truth, is I have not taken the required rental classes in my office in order to do a rental, but I can refer this rental to another agent that can help you. Okay, because legally you're supposed to help everybody. Andy Consoli is coming in to do the landlord tenants 1 and 2 in property management and fair housing, which honestly should be run each quarter, by the way, 93A and fair housing. I think we're gonna start running that per quarter. And then lead paint. Lead paint's still an issue. Amelia Bedelia, I don't get it. Kate, she'll look at those forms, Jillian will look at those forms, you're still missing an initial, I mean.
There's
we
too many
created a cheat
initials.
sheet. I'm not sure how else more to break this down, but come to Andy's class. And if you need CEUs, this is why you should be coming to class as well. Okay, so we talked already about becoming an expert, so we are gonna be running buyer 101 classes and seller 101 classes. So what are they? Well, it's everything that you need to know working with buyers and sellers. So we would love all experience levels in these classes. Why? Because there's nothing worse than somebody standing up here, and this is including me. I don't want to stand here and talk for a whole shareholder meeting for an hour, hour and a half. It's not about me. I don't provide the most value. The best shareholder meetings right at the beginning today was when about 20 people talked, asked questions, and added value back. So in these classes, having the newest agent to the most experienced agent, everybody learns. So yes.
Are these classes gonna be New Hampshire or Massachusetts?
Right now, this is Mass.
Okay.
We will run New Hampshire. We're gonna run New Hampshire quarterly because there's only about 45 licensed real estate agents for New Hampshire here out of the 185 in the market center. So that's more of a quarterly thing where most of the agents that are coming in, we are heavily on Mass. So this is both for Mass. These will be recorded. So again, we're going back to hybrid. So we are, we have all the TVs working. We have music today. It's playing in the hallways. So we finally, after $4,000 and a year and a half later with our AV person, we got that situated. The next thing that we're doing is looking into a camera that will be up on the ceiling that will follow the person who's teaching so that I don't have to be looking at this and then this, and like, it's very hard to be up here to do the hybrid and you guys chatting on there. It's almost impossible. So we are updating that because that's where we're going. The MREA series are, so we recorded and in our region, we broke down the MREA. I have to say something. I didn't, as a team leader, when I got that red book, I had no idea what that red book is. I was already overwhelmed on Keller Williams and why I was doing what I was doing. I didn't start at Keller Williams. I worked at 2 other different companies. And as you know, as a new agent or even experienced agent, sometimes at some points, you're like, what is that? What is that? What is that? There's so many acronyms, the culture, so much is being thrown at you, bold. So the last thing I was doing, honestly, is reading the MREA. I'm like, I have so much to do. Once I read it, I read it. The second time I read it, it was like rereading it for like meeting. And then the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time. And I actually, and this is probably one of my most favorite books because the more you read it, the more you pick up each year based on what you're doing in your business. See, at first, it's really not going to make sense. It's with like anything that you do. If you try to change to a healthier eating lifestyle and you're reading the book on how to eat better, it just doesn't even sound right. And then when you change your life a little bit, you're like, wait, that does sound right. The macros make sense or whatever you're doing. Okay. So the region got all leadership involved and we really broke down the MREA. And I think it was about an hour a class. They're all taped again on the YouTube channel. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Why? Because we were taking the book, breaking down the nuggets of each chapter, and then relating it to the experience. So it was doing 2 things. It wasn't just the fact of it, but where it applies and how it's applied to the individual teaching the program. So Sarah has decided, why not have a watch party, rewatch these series, and then have a little mastermind about each one of them. So this is what the MREA series watch party is starting September 10th. So bring your book, read the book. Then we're not going to read it to you. It's not a reading session in the morning when we do it. So that's excellent. And then Mitchell's coming in a few minutes. Mega Camp. Okay, so that was shut down in Texas quickly. And so they will not be having Mega Camp there. You can still buy a digital ticket. We aren't going to Mohegan Sun either, although
They have TVs there.
in my head, I was thinking, Brian, why can't we get a big family suite and mastermind there for those that bought the ticket? But we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So instead, we're going to bring it here to you in the market center. So those of you who did register and you were going to Mohegan, we do have an awesome swag bag for you. And so you can pick those up on Friday and on Monday so that you will have that. Anyone else, if you want to buy the digital ticket and you bought it, then yes, you can join us on Tuesday or Wednesday because we are going to be having a live viewing party here. Lunch is gonna be provided. We might do a couple of raffles. We're gonna try to give you the best experience possible bringing it here because it is an awesome event that's always been run by our company, and it's unfortunate that we can't participate in group gatherings once again. We talked about Oktoberfest. We're really excited to bring this to you. You all asked for it.
Are you
Yes.
just doing the main in here, or are you just doing the main?
We're just doing the main, like the visionary speech, Derek, because the breakouts and the masterminds are gonna apply to what you're clicking on, what you need in your business. But great question. So the Oktoberfest, it better look like that picture.
It will.
Ashley,
It will.
you wanna put event planning on your slide? No, I have no doubt that she's gonna do a great job, as you saw with the invitations, with the QR code. How simple is that? All you have to do is just take your phone and RSVP. But we can't do it by ourselves. So we are hiring a lot of third-party people to do major setup and breakdown. Obviously, we're not gonna be putting up the big Apple tent. Okay, somebody else is doing that. But we do need decorations. We do need a little bit of setup things. And then as the night kind of finishes, whatever we've decorated with, we're just gonna need that broken down. So we do need committees. We are gonna be sending out an email with a Google Excel sheet. Put your name on there. If you can come, basically, I want you there an hour before for for setting up, a little bit, 2 hours before, and then break down. It's gonna be a fun night. We had a meeting. I have to just give props to Frank. We're not gonna tell you what he suggested, but it definitely was amazing. And so when that's announced at that Oktoberfest, I'll let you all know what Frank said. That is a great addition to it. Any ideas you have, talk to Ashley. This is the tentative date. We're really hoping that we keep this date, because as you know, that last week of October, what happens? We get that snow.
Yeah.
No, we get that snow. So we did get a tent with sides and things like that, unless it's like unless we're losing electricity. This is where we want you, live music and all. Okay, so we're gonna just talk about our awards and accolades, and then we'll finish, so you can grab lunch and then get to Mitchell's class if you're staying. What I do wanna talk about, and I thought that that was in here, so let me just see if that slide is still in here, and I'm just talking out of context. Oh, it's at the end. What?
One slide, you can speak about the ALC panel.
Listen, Art.
Art, do you want to come up and do the share?
Do you even-
Good job, Art.
Oh my goodness, we're going back. We're going back to this amazing class. Hold on, we're going back.
Yeah, you made her.
All right, here it is. Okay, erase everything that happened today. Go right back to here. Yes, so I was talking about, before we get a new ALC, I know, I love this, this is amazing. We have listen, the 4 of them are very friendly, but, so as you know, they're in the top 20%. Are we finished? I can't even, this is why you need to come to the trainings, everybody. You have to come to the shareholder experience, what's happening in this corner. So top agent panel. So we're going to have Art, we're gonna have Steve, Jen, and Jeffrey, and it's going to be a mastermind Q&A. What do you want to know about their business? Okay, so we're gonna go fast. They're gonna give you nuggets. They're gonna tell you things that they do. They're gonna share things they do. That is what our company does, to be honest with you. To go back to, I didn't start at this company. Wherever I was, there was no way I was knocking on one of those doors over where I was. And I was like, hey, how do you market your listings? I would have a door shut in my face, like, little girl, go figure it out. So it was not a sharing environment. Here, why not? Because to be honest with you, I could tell you how to do that social media that I told you a second ago about Facebook. And there's maybe 20, 25 people in here. Maybe 10 of you will really think about it. 5 of you will attempt it and get frustrated, and maybe 1 of you will actually create it. So when we share with people, that's what happens. And so I would love to hear more about how Jeffrey uses different third parties to make phone calls, how he's created an ISA program, how he's hired people to make phone calls, what Steve does for his business, how Jen's doing her business. And so we're gonna do a big Q&A. Thanks, Art Durkin, for the reminder on Wednesday, September 15th. From 12 to 1:30, Stephen. Hey. All right. So what I wanted to talk about before the first closings is the last slide that I don't want to slide through is about our regional. And, you know, this is like in small print, so I really can't read it. I'm actually gonna go out of context. I should have moved this earlier, but let's just go like this for a sec. All the way, yeah. All right, this slide right here, this is important. If you're a competitive person, okay, or if you like to, if you like numbers, you want to know what everyone else is doing. I love when the region sends this because individually in 1 month, someone's closing $12 million in our company, in our region. And I like to know that as a benchmark because it's great. Listen, what you accomplish in here or as an individual, one or more closings is an accomplishment. But sometimes we like to raise the bar a little bit because sometimes we start seeing either the same people, the same names, things like that. So I'd like to know, how do I raise that? Well, I'll tell you, if you keep seeing some of the same people for closings each month, for closed volume, well, there's agents in our company in the region doing 12 million a month. So you know 4.2 million is capping. So this person was like 30 days.
Well, look at her units. She did 19 units.
Yeah.
You always say focus on the units too.
Yeah.
She did 19 units.
Alone. Now,
Alone.
whether she has a transaction coordinator, I don't know these details. The point is that 19 is a lot. I think it was Jen last month, 10, 11, 12, 11. That's still a lot of units and no transaction coordinator. Okay. But then when we get to individual teams and groups, okay, closed volume 21.4 million in 1 month, 98 units in 1 month. That's crazy. That's amazing. And I didn't change this slide over before our congratulatory slide, but I wanted to put this one first because it's always cool to see, even though our market center is doing really, really well, sometimes it's kind of cool to see what our region is doing so that we can lift that lid and achieve more. So I just wanted to go to that one. All right, everybody close your eyes so I can go back. Close them, close them, close them. Okay, open. Here we are, first closing. Congratulations to Marcos for closing his first. Every day. So welcome Amy Carter as one of our newest agents. Top profit share earner last month was Mr. Jeffrey. One cool thing that I saw when I went to Chicago to a couple of the market centers is under their profit share check. So we're gonna do a little vote in here. I am gonna ask you to close your eyes because I do want honest, I just want you to be honest. And so it is kind of private. So with profit share, listen, if you're getting mailbox money or free money because you attracted somebody here to the company and they decided to use the models and systems to actually produce and you're receiving money, that's a gift, okay? That's a gift. You might be receiving money from an attraction and you might be doing no business. That's still a gift. And so with the profit share, we love that we move the check outside the MCA office and then underneath we usually get letters from the region. But in some of the Chicago offices, they actually print fake checks with people's names on it. And I like that, and we are gonna do that because I think it's cool. But they put the actual amount that they got each month.
I think it was a mistake when I saw it.
So this goes to my thing. I just want opinion. We're an open book company. We should be happy to tell people we're making 100% of our commission, but some people don't want anybody to know that you're making 100% of your commission. And we should be happy that we're making profit share and that we're earning mailbox money or free money or passive money. And some people want people to mind their business and they don't want them to know. So I want you to close your eyes. And everybody, so you should not be looking at me. When people close their eyes, like you're not looking at me. Mark, you're not staring at me. No, just joking. So I just want you to raise your hand if you think you would feel comfortable. Would you feel comfortable writing the actual amount on the check if it was displayed on the wall each month of receiving profit share? Raise your hand if you're comfortable. Okay, put your hands down. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to the next one. Nobody asked, well, what was the result?
Yeah, I know.
Well, because I just wanted I honestly wanted to see where we were because we are gonna send a Survey Monkey. And so Survey Monkey, we're gonna move forward. Now, if somebody is adamant and says, I do not want it after the Survey Monkey, like let's just say Brian said, I don't want people to know, then Brian needs to let us know so that we don't print Brian. That's how it's gonna work. All right, so congratulations for top close volume, Jen. All right, how much did you close?
I don't know, your guess is as good as mine.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking everybody else, how much did she close? 1 month, Miss Jen Hamilton Bauer.
What if first month they don't know the numbers?
I know, this is the first number you don't know.
I
that.
really don't
Okay,
know.
not 6, not 5,
I said
4.6.
4.5, 4.5, yes. All right, top team for closed volume is, boom, Susan Sells with, how much? 1.7. See, I'm waiting for somebody to get close to it. So 1.7 for top team closed volume. For top group closed volume is Treetop Group, Treetop Realty. How much do they do? What? 6.2, 6.2. Congratulations. All right, closed units, top individual. How many?
7.
Deb? You should go play a scratch card. That was perfect. Yes, congratulations, Jen Bauer. You closed 7.
That's before about who you said, remember? We talked about this at ALC, she's like, I know.
We do challenge certain people, you know, like when you've already done like 10 or 11 in a month. And I do say this to
Well, 'cause
Jeffrey a
Jen
lot.
was supposed to have about
Sometimes
11.
Jeffrey will say, hey, we're ready to close, you know, we're gonna close 19 this month. And I'm like, not 25? That's crazy. Just to motivate just a little bit. Okay, so the top team for closed units, how many units was that? So you know the volume was what?
6, right?
No, team was 1.56, so
3.
yeah, this is where the math comes in. 3, congratulations, Susan Sells for 3. All right, so top group closed was what?
6.2.
That was 6.2, and who was it?
Treetop.
It was Treetop for volume.
12.
Right.
But for closed units, it was
14.
DNA Realty. And how many units was that?
12.
8.
Not 12,
I
not
actually
8,
wrote this wrong.
10. Coming from your MCA, 10,
But
yes.
wait, there's another slide.
Yes, there is.
There's
Wait.
more. There is more,
It's sliced.
because they tied.
Not on my printout. I know, I'm not on my printout.
They tied with Treetop. They did try.
Oh, well, they tied with Treetop and we do not have a slide, but
Well,
they
okay
tied with
then.
Treetop. So congratulations, $1 million listed individuals. So congratulations, Anna's in here, Jen, Marianne and Al. By the way, social media, if you follow Al on social media, he's doing really well with some social media.
Yeah, he is.
He has really gotten creative. If you, and I'm not even gonna tell you what he's doing. I want you to take a picture right now, look him up on Facebook. If you're not friends with him, become friends, see what he's doing. He's getting a lot of business from it, and it's not something that I usually see. So congratulations to $1 million listed. $1 million listed team, congratulations, Michael Jewer and Gem Properties, yay. $1 million listed for groups, there's a lot. So congratulations, Fisickelli team. Liriano, congratulations to you guys. Treetop Group, I always want to say Treetop Realty because that's what they were. State Line and DNA Realty. So congratulations for listing $1 million in the month of July and then selling millions and millions of dollars. Congratulations, Jen, Deb, Cal Shetty, Anna, Mr. Durkin, and Brian. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm so excited to see you up there, Brian. And everybody else, but it is a special thing with Brian and myself. $1 million sold. Congratulations to Susan Sells team for selling $1 million in real estate. And we're gonna go $2 million sold for groups. So Treetop Realty, Team Ortega waiting for a baby. Any day now. Any day now. We have Gloria having a baby and still selling properties. The Marin Group, State Line, Liriano, DNA, and Fisickelli. So congratulations on sitting there. Congratulations. All right. So we did something with the anniversaries. First, we labeled it anniversaries because remember that little hiccup that I had? Where I was like, are these birthday? What is going on with these slides? But then I was like, well, how many years has everybody been here? And I like to see that. So I do want to say congratulations for everybody. And so Nick's been here for 2 years. If you ever need anything in technology with your computer, you need something backed up. If you lost, my kid needed a gaming thing because he wanted a souped up game thing and it would have cost thousands and thousands and it cost me $60 because he said, you just need to buy this on Amazon and I'll open it up and put it in. And so I was like, oh my God. So he's awesome if you ever need anything, files are covered, anything IT.
He's one of our agents,
He's one of our agents.
but he does IT for a living and has his own consultant on the side, and he's awesome.
Amy's been here for 2 years, Patrick's been here for 8 years, and did CAP this year, so congratulations to Patrick. Freddie's been here for 2 years, and midday. Oh, God. Oh, this is a TikTok video for someone. Please take a picture of that sign. She's not in here. Wait, listen, we all make mistakes, and no one's here perfect. Sometimes you guys send me emails and it's not even the right word. And me too. Sometimes I speak and it's not right. Thank you, Brian. I saw that. So 3 years. We're moving on. Happy birthday. Vivian's in here. Anybody else in here? In the month of July. Happy birthday. Big birthday month. Did you have fun? You went away for your birthday. We should celebrate. That's what I do. Why not? All right. So happy birthday to everybody. And so let's go through our numbers really quickly. So again, I put in all the numbers into the slides because everybody is different. Some people like percentages, some people like straight numbers, and honestly, some people don't like numbers and don't understand numbers. So for closed units, this MOM is what? Month over month, and YTD? Year to date. Year to date. So month over month for closed units, we're behind. So we're down. We said this a couple of months. Do you remember we were having conversations and we were like, yay, our volume's up, our profit share's up, our company dollar's up, like, let's party. And I'm like, no, don't party, because the units are down, things are starting to stay on the market a little bit longer, and so we are having that shift. You should start seeing it in your business too. Okay, start putting away that tax money if you haven't. It's Q4, start thinking about these things because it's going to change. Mark and I had this conversation last week. I mean, we did buy off of Amazon one of those round balls that will start next month in September that I will place right here. And when you put your hands on it, it does that staticky thing.
Yeah, she had me buy
Some
it.
people, yes, I want it.
She
actually.
literally wanted it. I
So,
think it will be here today.
Predictions.
I don't know if it's gonna work the way she
say-
wants to.
And Mark and I had this conversation, predictions say, I believe that we are gonna hit the bottom next year. And it's gonna happen fast, but it's already happening right now. But if you follow Gary in your part of the visionary speech at Mega Camp, he talks about this in the slides. He talks about following the market. He talks about usually with the Canadian market where we're going. And so I would really love to hear this conversation because we threw COVID in the middle of it. So I'd like to see how it's relatable and what he thinks, but we're already seeing it with the numbers here. If you can see the closed volume, that we're down. Year to date, we're still up, but we should, for this month, we shouldn't be in July. We do our heavy stuff, June, July, August, September, and October. Actually, even through November, the last couple of years, it's still been strong. And so for us to be down, we should consider that. For listings taken though, so we were up, which is great because that's all we've been talking about is we want to get more listings. Volume naturally, that's the market. That's not because you're getting creative with anything. That's just what the volume is right now. Sold, so we're down, sold volume, written contracts, and closed GCI. So that's having those conversations about hiring me for 3 versus 2, or hiring me at 2.5 versus 2, and locking people into contracts. Somebody actually walked into my office the other day and said, do I have to have an exclusive buyer contract signed? Yes. Why? Because the state says if you want an exclusive, if you have a mass disclosure, you're really supposed to have you're supposed to have the exclusive buyer contracts. My buyer doesn't want to sign it. Well, you're at closing today, have them sign the bottom. It's for that one property. All it's saying is that he hired you for the most part. And so you need to get it signed. If you had those conversations prior to though, there'd be a lot of you that aren't receiving commissions. There's people coming into my office saying, I showed these people these many properties and then they went ahead and they wrote it with somebody else. How many times has that ever happened to any of us? It has, like in the industry, it really has. And lessons learned. Closed units. Okay, so numbers without percentages. So in July, of last year, we closed 138 units. And last month, we closed 96. That's a big jump, as you can see. And you should be looking at your business. You still have access to your trend reports inside of the MyKW. You should be able to log in and see that they're gonna break it down just like this, month over month from year to year, along with the year to date, month over month, to see where you were in your business last year. Closed volume, that's up. Listings taken in July of last year were 58, it's up by 72. That's a positive. I wanna honestly hope that, and I wanna track it, but that growth initiative on Mondays, it tells you what to email and what to post and what to say if you make phone calls. Like, you don't even have to think about it, just do what they're telling you to do. And they're tracking it, and there's a lot of business coming from just what they're doing. Listings sold, 63 last year, 42 this year. Volume, contracts written, volume, and closed GCI. Okay, anybody have any questions about those? Steve, from the finance standpoint of view, anything? Okay, great. So, this is where we share if you have anything, listings coming, working with buyers, be specific if you're going to share, tell us where it's located. And do not share anything if you don't have a contract signed. Okay, so we had that happen 2 months ago, and somebody came to me afterwards and was like, hey, those are my neighbors and I'm getting that listing and that agent's not. Well, guess what? Whoever has the contract is who's getting the listing.
Right.
So who would like to share specifically? We'll start with Deb in the back and I'll go around.
So I have two,
Perfect.
2-family in Brighton, on the market, owner occupied right now, but obviously they'll be leaving. Great tenant on the first floor, off-street parking. The other one is in Framingham, just went back on the market yesterday and needs back to your financing lender issues.
Dun, dun, dun.
But 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, great house, solid house, one owner, close to everything.
What street is it?
Cottage.
Maybe I need to go back home. Go back to Brittany.
299.
And what's the second?
That was the second.
That was
The first one was Brighton, the second one
Right.
was came.
Brittany, did you?
Oh, I don't have one.
Sorry. That was fast. I was like, girl.
Yeah.
No, Brittany's been doing really great. She has closed
Yes.
many,
She
I'm very
has.
proud of Brittany,
Great
but
job
just
on
doesn't
that.
have anything to share right now. Brittany's here. Okay, Sarah.
I have one Regency Drive in Bedford. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's over 3,000 square feet, and I'm putting it on for $650. It's a little weird. I already sold this house this year, and now the family hates each other, so we're selling it again.
Just literally closed
What are you
this?
gonna do? Didn't work out. I'll sell a house twice. I'm not saying,
Yeah,
but
right.
I don't care. And they're all just my houses too, so.
Is that Bedford, New Hampshire?
Bedford, New Hampshire, very nice. We're gonna stage it like it could be an in-law or a second master suite on the basement floor. They should put a really beautiful bathroom, and that should be finished before we list. That should be coming, as soon as possible if they wanna get some good money for it.
Yeah.
And then to Christmas, no one wants to, yeah, I must be selling that. But anyway, that's it.
Okay, Deb? Did you have your hand raised? Maybe I'm just saying things. Ron?
I did.
I'm gonna put my glasses back on now. Go ahead, Ron.
All right, so real quick,
Clearly, I can't see.
check it out. Buyers first. There's 2 people I want to talk about. Angela and Mel, great couple. Looking for their first home together with their kids and everything. Up to 525 Haverhill, Methuen, Salem, New Hampshire. 3 bedroom, 1.5 or 2 baths. Be nice with a garage. Must have a garage because Mel is a personal trainer and he needs space to actually have people come and go in it and set that up. And then the buyers, I'm still looking in Wyndham and Londonderry. I can't believe this. It's very difficult. They will spend up to like $750, but it's gotta be like a nice house with a yard, something with New Hampshire. They don't give us great backyards to potentially put pools in. So we need some type of a good yard, up to $750, 4-bed, 2.5 bath. Jeff and Jess have been looking for like 3 years. It's been probably my longest find. And I really wanna help them. 2 listings coming on. Somerville just signed it yesterday. It's $1 million. It's a 2-family in Somerville. Don't get excited about $1 million because it doesn't buy much in Somerville. Okay, so it's kind of ugly, kind of beat up. It's a small 2-family, but there is potential. And this is one of the properties that actually has 4-car parking out back with a yard. So like potential cost, I'm not even gonna pitch it because the zoning in Somerville is ridiculous. So trying to claim you could do something, I would never do that. But I kind of think something could be done if you look into it, to expand it or make it bigger. And then Methuen, we've got a ranch coming on Methuen, kind of a busy street, small ranch, starter home, be like a 395, 385 kind of price. And, you know, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, small, it'll be nice. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, then that concludes today's meeting. You may go get lunch and then stick around for Mitchell's class. And I appreciate all of you participating.